Dear all, thank you very much for joining in the Corporate Finance Forum. I'm here with Bahram Vakil, a partner of the European Corporate Finance Forum. As you know, Bahram, EBDC, with all its activities, works within the space of the European-India Business Corridor. The guiding theme of EBDC's activities, along with yourself as well, is sustainability. Anything that relates to sustainability, green economy, circular economy, and so forth. And within the Corporate Finance Forum, we often obviously discuss the topic of financing. So what needs to be done in terms of green financing? How can we be sure that the financing follows well the will and the intent of policymakers who currently, as we speak, at a very high level, Modi is now visiting Germany, Denmark, and France. And for instance, in Denmark, it's the big Nordic summit, and it's all about sustainable topics. Yeah. So how can financing dovetail these activities that have been discussed at policy level?
Thank you so much, Paul. Yeah, that's a very important question for us. So at the outset, as you said, you can see the commitment right from the Prime Minister level, and India is committed to this, which I think is a good thing because all of us are in it together. It's a bit like the awful COVID situation. So the blame game doesn't help at all, and we all have to do this. So for this, two things that you require is technology and finance. So on both these, we would certainly like to lean on our friends in Europe because they have very cutting edge technology, and of course they have deep pockets together with the US. So and the amounts are just humongous. I mean, even depending on the period, but it goes into $1 trillion, not billions of dollars. So clearly, domestically, we will not be able to get there. Whether it's equity or debt, we can't get there on our own, and we will definitely need global support. And on that count, I'm very glad, as you say, in just yesterday's meeting, Germany has committed to a $10 billion financing for green projects. So I think on our side, what we need to do is that we need to make it also easier domestically. And unfortunately, we are an exchange-controlled economy. The rupee is not freely convertible. So there are restrictions from our central bank, the Reserve Bank of India, on the tenor of the loan. They like long-term loans. They don't like short-term loans. They also have what we call end-use restrictions, and they have caps on the interest you can pay. So all this, I think RBI will need to liberalize and welcome this financing. Of course, it's going to be a long-term. We say long-term when it's more than 3 years. So for these projects, it will be long-term, but they may need to be a little more flexible on the interest and the end use. And more than that, I think they can even take another step. In India, we have this thing called priority sector lending, which is usually for agri and for rural India. I think they should consider green financing within this priority sector because it is clearly a high priority. And then all the banks will be forced to, because there's a fixed percentage of loans every bank in India has to give to priority sector. So if they do that, that will be really terrific. And then all the other international instruments, green bonds have started, but they need to get a much bigger push. To be very honest, I think it is maybe the international banks, now the domestic banks will also have to get on board. Because as I say, the size of the country, the needs of the country, and therefore the amounts are so humongous that we would have to do it together. And the last thing, this is all on the debt side. On the equity side, I know the regulator for the securities market, SEBI, has also jumped into the game and is pushing hard for ESG and environment and green bonds and making the regulations simpler and more attractive. So both equities and debt, I think I am cautiously optimistic that a lot should happen in the coming years.
Very good. I think
Thank
so
you
too.
so much.
Yeah, I think so too, because I know for a fact that the European Investment Bank, for instance, has a big focus, big mandate on investing in the Europe-India business corridor on its own, but also with India. And that's the interesting part to finance together. And a clever investment banker once told me that there's no darker money, there's just a dark good project. So I think a lot of focus should also be on structuring the projects where it's obviously where we will need your help as well, because that will attract finance. Thank you very much, Bahram.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks a lot.